be beneath your current position. Find a way down there, but proceed with caution.
What's up agents, Patrick Wolf here. Welcome to another Division 2 build video. Today's build video is going to be the Toxic Plague build. This is going to be a PVE focused build. You can use this in PvP, but I've only tested it in PvE, so just let me know if you try it in PvP. So let's get into the specialization before we go into the demonstration, explanation, and each individual piece. So I use Technician Specialization. The only reason, to be honest, is the +1 skill tier is always really nice. It's one of my favorite specializations right now. Also, you'll be using skills quite often, so while you're aiming your skill or throwing it, because we will be utilizing the Blinder Firefly, for example, this will give us more armor. It's also nice because you can be immune to disruption and shock, which does help, especially when shotgunners are rushing you. You also can have the Artificial Hive, which is great. Skill damage, skill repair. It's just a great specialization for PvE as well, because what happens is you get 12% damage to drones, skill proxies, and robotics. The drones and the dogs, they can be quite difficult to kill, especially in PvE. This will give you more damage towards them. So we're going to be utilizing LMGs with this build completely, so you can decide to use whatever you want, but I recommend utilizing LMGs. So Gunner is also would be my second choice. You can use Gunner. The Banshee Pulse would actually work really well with this build. It's completely up to you guys, dependent on how you want to apply the status effect. Seeing as though this is going to be kind of like a plague build where we spread our status effect and our plague of the Outcasts from the Pestilence. So you can decide to use this. You also get a pouch, even though you cannot put that on the Pestilence. It's just nice. Every third reload is faster. And you get rate of fire increases by 5 seconds on kill for 5 seconds. You do get armor on kill, so you can use this as well. But like I said before, I enjoy Technician just because of those benefits that we discussed. But both of them are just as good, to be honest, and it just depends how you want to play. Like I said in all my build videos, it's all dependent on your playstyle. Adapt, use these builds as templates, do not just copy them. Always just change it up to suit how you want to play. So let's get into this build and let me explain to you how it's going to work. This is literally just for absolutely spreading everything this game has to offer. The Vial debuff, the Pestilence debuff, the Bleed debuff on enemies. With one shot, you can kill a normal red heroic NPC with one bullet of the Pestilence. One shot of one bullet, and it applies all 3 debuffs. It's just such a fun build to use. I think this is one of my favorite builds so far to use in PvE. It's so fun. It's great. It's powerful. It's very powerful. The damage output is actually really strong because we have got ongoing directive, which gives us massive amounts of amplified damage. So let's get into this. Let me just explain to you what the whole idea around this is. So we're not just going to be spreading a status effect. We will be utilizing the damage buffs from ongoing directive. So this will actually be a DPS build. You'll be hitting extremely hard, especially if you swap to the Carnage LMG. So it's not just about status effects, it is a DPS build as well. I mean, you can call it a hybrid. It is pretty much a hybrid. So let's get into each individual piece so I can explain it further. So the Pestilence is really nice. Obviously, when you're shooting, you'll see a bar fill up. The more the bar goes to the right, the more damage it will take over time. That is not counted as bleed. Remember, it's just a normal debuff. This has got God roll everything. Very nice. Go reroll it. Try to get the best rolls you possibly can. Plague of the Outcasts. We all know how this works by now. It's great. It spreads 25 meters. Now you could maybe transfer this onto something like an Eclipse protocol, but remember, this is not classified as a status effect, so this wouldn't transfer. So use the Pestilence, and then I recommend using this bad boy right here, the Carnage, which is a great LMG. This has perfect Sadist, because what happens is Ongoing Directive, it gives you hollow point ammo. So every shot you take with your gun will put the enemy on bleed. You don't have to use the bleed hive to actually proc status effects. So this will constantly, you will constantly have 25% weapon damage at all times, because the enemies will constantly be bleeding. So make sure to roll this. I would say you could put maybe damage to armor over here. Damage targets out of cover is one of the best damage buffs in the game. So the combination of those two and perfect Sadist is really nice. So you can just alternate between the two. It's just a fun way of playing. I think that you get way more damage with the Carnage, but the Pestilence can actually create more sustained damage over a large area. So depending on how you want to play. When you mod it, just go for accuracy, weapon handling. This is not a crit chance build. Don't worry about anything like that. You don't need to worry about crit. It's all about just base, scaled, amplified damage and status effects. So sidearm, whatever you want, it does not matter at all. So what I've done here is we've got the 4-piece Ongoing Directive. Let me quickly explain what that does. So the reason why we have the 4-piece is because status effect is given there, 15%, plus reload speed, which helps with LMGs as well. Rules of engagement, killing a status affected enemy. So we are using the Blinder Firefly. So we blind an enemy and then we kill it. So killing a status affected enemy from being, like for example, you could put them on the bleed. You could do it however you want to. You get hollow point ammo. So your whole magazine, 100 bullets or whatever size your magazine is, you get full of hollow point ammo for your active weapon. Hollow point ammo amplifies weapon damage because we've got the chest piece by 35%. So we are going to constantly have 35% weapon damage from Ongoing Directive, because it will constantly be proc, because this hollow point applies bleed. So the next enemy will create the status effect, then you will get another full mag of hollow point ammo. It never ends. It's constant all the time, which is great. So not only will we be getting all that damage, but every single shot will be placing the enemy on the bleed, which means the Vial Mask will be proccing because of that bleed, and the Pestilence will be proccing because of the Pestilence debuff, and the Carnage will be getting 25% more damage, and on top of that we have got Perfect Wicked, which gives us another 18% weapon damage. So everything works and synergizes so ridiculously well. But let's go over in each individual piece. So you can see how far this is going to go and how well this can work with all of the synergy that's going on, all the buffs and debuffs. It's quite a lot to keep up with, but once you use it, you can really see how it works. So the Vial Mask is obtained by level 90 on the Season 2 pass, so make sure you guys go and grind that out. Resource convoys with all directives on challenging is a good way of doing that. So how this works is explosive damage and status effects. Yes, status effect stacking on your gear actually increases the Vial Mask's tick, the toxic delivery. This comes rolled with status effects and hazard protection, which is nice. All of the yellow mods I've gone to roll with skill haste, because I just want my skills to come quicker, because we do have tier 1 skills from the specialist technician. So toxic delivery, so what happens is it's 50% of your concussion grade and increased by your status effect attributes. So when you see in the footage in the beginning of the video, what's actually happening is because we've got hollow point ammo, it places the enemy on the bleed every single shot. It is not the Pestilence that procs this, it's the bleed. So when we shoot one bullet on an NPC, that NPC is bleeding, and then that bleed procs toxic delivery. Now this is quite important to note, that it's better scaled with explosive damage, but it doesn't really matter. We're going to be getting 3 different types of ticks if you use the Pestilence. So to be honest, I've had a look, and before we get into other pieces, I have tried the backpack of Ongoing Directive, and the only issue with this is bleed got nerfed. So the whole point of this build is to just stack a combination of debuffs. It's not focused around the bleed, because bleed damage got a significant nerf, and what the backpack does is increases your status effect, the bleed status effect, by 50%. It does not increase the Vial Mask's debuff, the toxic delivery. It does not increase it. So we're not too worried about the backpack, and all bleed damage done by 100%. It's actually not that strong. I've tested the backpack. I would rather go for Wicked for more weapon damage. So once that's out of the way, let's go over the chest piece now once again. Every single piece of Ongoing Directive is going to be rolled status effect. I think I'm missing the holster because I run out of electronics already, which is quite frustrating, but I'll get there. So status effects on everything. Remember, we're getting 35% amplified damage, which is really nice. We will be dishing out huge amounts of huge numbers in from the weapons that we're going to be using. So the Golden Gear backpack, why have I used this? This is the Anarchist Cookbook. It is a named backpack. I'm still yet to roll status effects on it. I'll probably take away a hazard protection for status effects. The reason why we have this is because we're getting more status effects, 10% with Golden Gear, which increases the Vial Mask's debuff, and it actually gives us longer bleed time, which means we'll be able to dish out damage from the carnage. You know, we'll get more time to utilize the carnage because the enemies were bleeding for longer. Like I said, it's not actually just about the bleed damage because it has been nerfed. Even though it's pretty good, it's the Pestilence debuff and the Vial Mask that actually makes up the numbers. All three stacked together. So make sure you use this. It's very strong. You could use whatever you want, but like I say, I like it because I get status effects, and Perfectly Wicked is a nice buff. It actually gives you longer time periods, which is very nice. So to the gloves and the knee pads, remember it's all status effects on everything. Same rules apply. It is ongoing directive. So let's look at the skills. Pulse, I'm just using Pulse. You can use whatever skills you want on this build. Go for Radius and Effect Duration. Well, to be honest, I don't even think... Yes, I think it does apply to this Pulse. As you can see there, it does increase it. So just make sure you have a look at the side there. If you see a green icon, it showcases that. So what happens is we've actually got tier 2, sorry, because I have got a yellow roll on this on this build. It's nice because we get 30% effect duration, and with the Firefly and whatever skill you want to use as your secondary, or whatever other skills, it doesn't matter, you're going to be getting tier 2 skills, which is very nice. That gives us 70% speed and 20% blind effect duration. So it's very much a good investment just having that one yellow on the build, because this has got 4 reds, 1 blue and 1 yellow, which is nice because it's a good combo and a good hybrid. So the skills are a bit stronger than what they should be, because they should, you know, on a hybrid like this, you'd probably want to go for all reds, but I found it that 1 blue just makes me a little bit tankier, and 1 yellow, like I said, gives us a tier 2 with the technician specialization, just to increase our skills and make them a lot stronger. So it's completely up to you. You can use whatever skills you want. The Bleed Hive can work with this really well. It's completely up to you. I just don't really like to play with it at all, but it's completely play style involved. And to be honest, you don't need to proc the bleed because, like I said before, the hollow point ammo actually applies it. So let's go over the stats. The stats are not too important. As you can see, the build has got so much synergy and utility on just the debuffs. The debuffs aren't really specified here, so I'm just going to go through everything, and you guys can pause the video whenever you want and then just have a look at them. But yeah, so in the firing range on heroic, I don't know why it says challenging at the top. That's also a bug, by the way, guys. If you look over there, it does say heroic. So let's go over a look. So this is how it's going to work, just to quickly showcase it and explain exactly how this is going to how it's going to work instead of me just talking about it. So you're going to run into an engagement when you start a mission, and you'll see there are no hollow point ammo bullets in our mag. So all you would need to do is just proc status effect on one enemy, which would proc the Vial Mask, by the way. And then you would just kill that status affected enemy, and then you will see by the 85 out of 99 bullets, there's a little indication of a bleed symbol, and that means we have got the hollow point ammo, and you'll see the explosions, and then we just go ahead and just spread it, and all 3 debuffs. So the Vial Mask is proccing because every shot is putting the enemy under bleed, and obviously the Pestilence in and of itself is a separate debuff. So that's pretty much how you're going to work this build. It's really fun to use. Just one shot procs all 3 debuffs. You can see the massive amount of damage. It's so fun to use, and it's so effective in crowd control as well. The bleed damage is great, and you know, there's so many ways you can take this build, so many ways you can improve it, or maybe even change it to fit in Eclipse protocol build. There's maybe an idea to try something like that. It's just really strong, and I really love this build. I enjoy it. So before we end this video, I just want to quickly say Tuesday at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I will be streaming on Twitch for the new raid. We're going to try and get it world's first. There will be drops enabled on my channel, so all you have to do is link your Twitch account to Ubisoft, and then you will be eligible for drops. Just watch me streaming, and just by watching for a certain amount of time, they haven't stated how much yet, you will be able to obtain a separate or a special one-of-a-kind mask and a backpack trophy. So make sure you guys stop by for the Twitch stream on Tuesday. That'll be at 4 PM in the afternoon, BST time, British summer time. So make sure you guys stop by for that and don't miss out. So leave a like, subscribe, make sure to let me know in the comments what you think of this build video, and I'll be seeing everybody in the next one. Peace out.